from artists who have done like work in anime, TV, and film spaces, people that have dabbled in those spaces, but can really rap though. That was like the criteria. Like you have to really rap. And the founder of Momocon, like shout out to her. Like she was so gracious in believing in us, and that's really how it came to be. It's just Momocon working directly with us to make it happen. And the show was phenomenal. And having the panels that we did were also awesome too. Like people came out in droves.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, individually, what is your favorite aspect of performing?
Oh man, I would say a lot of it is just kind of when you're in the studio or like wherever you're writing beforehand. There are certain moments when you're making a song where if you've done it, you've been doing it long enough. You have an idea of how people will respond in certain moments, and how you can, in creative ways, you can engage with the crowd, right? Like what's gonna bring joy in a moment, what's gonna make everyone sing along in another, what's gonna make people kind of reflect deeply about their own lives and stuff like that. So being able to take these private moments that we have in the studio or wherever we create, and then present them in a public space and see people connect with it the way you kind of envisioned it. And then also those moments too when people pull you to the side and share maybe things you never thought about, like but how it impacted them in that moment. And so it's a beautiful thing, man. I don't take this gift for granted, you know. I've been making this professionally for like 26 years at this point. And so, yeah, it's dope.
Yeah. I would say like my favorite is just like being able to express my art in front of crowds. I say this a lot when people ask me, am I nervous like in front of people, like in terms of like performing? And I always tell them like the bigger the crowd, the more hype I get. The smaller the crowd, the more nervous I get. Like, because I feel like, oh man, now I gotta do stand-up comedy to make up for the fact that like there's no one there and I gotta make it, because it's awkward now, but I think like the reward with performing is like you finally see like your hard work being like rewarded in real time, because people are interacting with it. You see what songs hit, what songs like like you said, like makes them emotional, what songs make them cry, laugh, like and feel some type of way, and it's just like instant feedback.
Yeah, given that y'all have been in the industry for quite some time, just as a consumer of music, I've noticed some things, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It seems to be like, interest again in like 80s music, etc. But my question to you would be, what were some of the musical influences in your early life as you became artists? Like who influenced you? What sound did you build?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, with Tribe Called Quest and just like the Native Tongues, De La Soul. All of these folks were at the peak, their peaks professionally. And so like hip hop that had heavy jazz influence or soul influence was something that I gravitated to early. So when I started making it myself, it wasn't so much about how can I make something different. It was just like, hey, if I can make anything remotely close to the greats that I love, because I connect with this music on a deeper level. Some of these artists and the subject matter that they talked about, these were like the male role models that I sometimes couldn't touch, right? Like that I didn't have in my personal life at different moments. And so yeah, I just wanted to be a torchbearer initially, right? And then along with trying to emulate these greats, you find your own voice, right? And you find space for yourself and in a space with others who kind of appreciate these things that now are starting to fade away, or these things that are losing their luster, right? And so you realize now, like you go from trying to imitate to being an original that now carries on something that's an extension of the people you love coming up. And shout out to them for still being out here too. Like now, some of these people, not all obviously, but some of these people I grew up listening to, like when I meet them in person and them embracing me as like being a part of this league of, it's insane. Chuck D made fun of me for like a good 5 minutes because it's just like I couldn't believe I was just standing next to him, and just the love he showed me. I'm like eternally grateful to that brother. So like, yeah, I mean I could go on forever, but like those were a lot of my influences coming up, and I'm just grateful to be able to carry on the tradition. You know?
I would say like before I get into like a list, Substantial was always one of my favorites. It was one of my influences. So I grew up listening to him, Tone Deaf, Pac FM. They were part of a crew called Q&5. And like I've always been really big on lyricism because I'm a rap nerd. I just love poetry. I love like metaphors, bars, like triple entendres, not double, triple entendres, doubles. And so I would say my influences were always very lyric heavy. So like Eminem, Nas, Jay-Z, like Jadakiss, Lloyd Banks, Fabulous, Chino XL, rest in peace, Pharomonch, like guys that can really rap, like Rakim, Coogee Rap. Like if you can rap, it doesn't matter what area you're from, I'm gonna listen to you. So and also I sing too. So like I have always been a fan of people like Michael Jackson, Prince, Luther Vandross, and like even down to like Chris Brown, The Weeknd. So for my style, like I mix both of those together to kind of, and I think like I really found my signature sound like these past 2 years. So I'm like really proud of the stuff I put out like recently.
If I could
Last
add,
question.
Yeah. I was just gonna add, like, throw in the mix people I didn't mention, Common, Redman. No, you mentioned Nas, of course. Like, there's so many. Like, for a long time, I didn't get into it because I didn't think it was obtainable, right? Like, I didn't think I was capable of being as good as these people. So I didn't come into this lightly, right? I feel like we're in a different space in terms of what the industry is now, where the entry level is like not what it once was, right? The entry point. And so I don't know what it feels like to be in the position the young folks are now, where, I mean, he said it, you know what I mean? But like, for me, it was just like, I understood what I was walking into and how if I wanted to be looked at in a similar fashion, I had to be great. Like, so yeah.
What I loved about like the generation that I listened to was like you had to really be good at your craft. So it's like if you didn't, they'll make fun of you. Like they're just like, get out of here. Now it's like if you're really good, they make fun of you for being smart and being good.
Yeah, you're a tryhard.
You're a tryhard.
Yeah.
So I just loved what the 90s and 2000s like did for hip hop. Like how it made competition like a healthy sport. It made everyone better.
For sure.
Last question.
What's a dream project or collab that you're working towards or have thought about? It's like the ultimate pinnacle thing to do.
Wow.
Manifesting.
It's funny. For me, it's not so much about working with artists I don't know, right? Like there's plenty of people I'm a fan of, but I really just want to take the people I know who I believe to be some of the greatest in the world and do something together with like the community of artists I've built that just finally kind of breaks through. And what I've learned in this business, there's not a real formula to like what's always going to break mainstream. Sometimes exposure is enough, right? Like sometimes just putting resources behind something that's already pretty great, just limited people know about, like is enough to push something over the hump. And I've seen that with the video game music I've done for Arc Nights, for PUBG, for Mobile Legend, blah, blah, blah. Like when I'm in these bigger moments, like I am who I am, fam, and the rest of the world is just playing catch up. So for me, a dream project would be to take the people I already know who are great, us put together what we always put together, and just have the resources to push it the way a lot of this other garbage is pushed, right? And then let the people sort them out. You know what I mean? Because I know who we are, right? That's you don't stay in this business as long as I've stayed in it if you aren't sure what you're here to do. You know.
So some of you guys may know I'm also an actor, so I have like two dream projects, if I may. As an actor, I would love to have the financial backing to produce films that I star in, of course. I have to. But basically, and just like kind of like what Jordan Peele does, like being able to have these like wild stories and turn them into real life. Like that for me would be like the pinnacle of like freedom as art. You know what I mean? Like, but if we're talking about like just music, like I think people that know me know the answer. Like I want to do a song with Eminem. I just want to bar out for 7 minutes and just like rap back and forth. probably the most annoying song to listen to if you don't like lyrics. But for me, I just want to do it to like on some Goku and Vegeta thing. It's just back and forth, and just like your head's gonna explode by how much crammed lyricism and syllables there'll be. That's like my
Beautiful.
dream.
Beautiful.
You know, so yeah.
All right, and can you also share like your social media handles for people to be able to follow you both?
Sure. On most platforms, it's just Substantial Music. You can always just go to the website as well. I am substantial.com.
Alan Z Music, ALANZ Music, and you can find me on Spotify and Apple Music at Alan Z.
We're Google.